From our reporter that hundreds of students who have gathered at the union buildings in Pretoria are attempting to break down the barriers, and the police are trying to stop them. We now cross back to our reporter Tumaole Mohlaoli, who's on the scene. Tumaole, what is currently going on?
Standing by. Well, the situation here at the union buildings, rather the atmosphere, remains very, very tense. It is slightly lower in temperature, if I can use that analogy, than it was a few moments ago, where students rolled in and ran in their numbers, charging the perimeter fence at the south lawns. This is the fence basically that separates the southern lawns at the union buildings from the union buildings themselves. Police are out here in their numbers in riot gear, and I think officers have basically showed a lot of restraint. Students earlier were threatening to push the fence over. Even now as we speak, you can see visible damage where students were trying to force their way past the perimeter fence. Some students have now perched on trees around the perimeter fence, and they're carrying placards reading "Fees must fall by 10%," and others are saying, "Police, we are your children." And there are various political organizations, student organizations represented here, and the numbers continue to swell. I can tell you that if you look south towards the further end of the south lawns, where the Pretoria CBD begins, basically, there are still students pouring in their numbers, and they are a lively bunch. I can tell you, they are singing and they are chanting and they are dancing and they are running around at the south lawns. And I think police have done well to defuse the situation, which was potentially explosive, because earlier students were demanding to be allowed in so that they could take their demands straight to the door of the union buildings, to the presidency, something which would not be allowed. As we speak as well, behind me, behind the fence here, police continue to come in to reinforce their colleagues. There is a line which they are standing in, decked out in their riot gear, and you can see on their waist some are carrying canisters of stun grenades. The media is now officially been locked in behind the perimeter fence, as police are saying it is not safe to go beyond the point where the students are, because they cannot guarantee the media safety. So this is the vantage point that we have, but I can tell you that the temperature has increased significantly here at the south lawns of the union buildings, as well as the atmosphere. It can only be described as very electric, as alive. The students here gathering amongst themselves, singing, chanting, dancing. So it is very lively. However, they will not be allowed to head towards the union buildings itself. That is something that police are adamant, and officials from the presidency will not happen. Student leaders, I can tell you at this particular moment, had been meeting with officials and representatives from the presidency to bring their demands to the union buildings and to the presidency. That meeting has been going on behind closed doors. At this stage, we're not getting any indication what is being discussed, but students here as well have been demanding to find out what has happened. I think that as far as they are concerned, they do not have the patience to wait, and they are not willing to wait. They came here expecting to have feedback immediately. Of course, politically, this is not how it works. A lot of them were buoyed on, it seems, by visuals they saw when students converged onto Tumaole House, and the scenes that played out there, where students demanded to be addressed by senior ANC leadership. Of course, ANC Secretary General Gwede Mantashe coming down and addressing the students, and also being addressed by them. It was quite a confrontational scene that played out right across there at Tumaole House earlier. So now here things have simmered down a bit. The students continue to sing, continue to chant, continue to taunt police officers, some of them yelling "shoot, shoot, shoot," but police officers are on high alert, keeping the law and order. And I think the earlier exuberance of the students trying to force their way in has really died down, as they've realized that the security here at the union buildings will not budge to their demands. So now they've just resorted to gathering amongst themselves and waving their placards, singing their songs and dancing and chanting and marching around the South Lawns. Looking out beyond the South Lawns, I can still see more and more students pouring in. It's very hard at this stage to estimate exactly how many students for the Fees Must Fall campaign have gathered for this particular event and particular gathering here at the Union Buildings at the seat of government in Pretoria, the capital. So this is the situation on the ground as we speak to you. With that, I'll hand back to you in studio.
That's our reporter on the ground there. Tensions remain high at the Union Buildings with those students, and you don't want to miss it. Stay tuned here on Newsroom and other programs following this program.